Today, I'm breaking down something that might surprise a lot of people. Why retiring after the age of 62 can actually be harder than retiring at age 60. I've noticed a trend that most financial advisors completely overlook. The challenges that come with retiring at 62 or later often don't show up in the spreadsheets, but they show up in real life. They show up in the conversations I have with real people with real dreams for how they envision their retirement. So if you're new here, welcome. I'm Nathan, a certified financial planner who's been helping clients retire with confidence for over a decade. I make videos like this to help you make smarter, more confident retirement decisions. So if that sounds helpful, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. I'm sharing this video because I want to help you avoid the hidden pitfalls I've seen firsthand, and more importantly, set you up for a retirement that's not just financially strong, but also emotionally fulfilling and physically sustainable. So let's get into it. The biggest misconception I see around retirement planning, however, is delaying retirement is always smarter. And I have to admit, I thought that earlier in my career. Save as much as possible, delay retirement, then live off the proceeds. But I started to change my mind because of the conversations I've had and the work that I do. Because retirement isn't all about money. There are two groups of people that would delay retirement. Those that have to work because they didn't save enough, and those who have saved enough but for some reason can't stop working. And for the latter group, this is who this video is for. The people who've worked hard, saved enough, and have the ability to retire early. And for those of you in this camp, I'm going to implore you to consider retiring early. Here's what most people don't realize when they think about retirement. First, and quite possibly the most important, is that most retirees report being happier than they expected to be in retirement. A 2024 MassMutual Retirement Happiness Study showed that 67% of retirees say they are happier and only 8% report feeling less happy. And I know from talking to my own clients, the people who have saved and prepared are significantly more happy in retirement. No more late night emails, no more calls from the boss, no more work deadlines. Another reason you want to consider retiring early is that pre-retirees tend to overestimate how anxious they feel in retirement and underestimate how quickly they adapt. And I get it. Working is something you've been doing your whole life. It's easier said than done when thinking about not working. And lastly, and maybe most surprisingly, people who've already retired say they wish they had done it earlier. This isn't just theory. I've watched it happen. I have these conversations, which bring me to the question we're really here to answer. Why is retiring at 62 harder than retiring at 60? We're not going to talk about money aspects in this video. You've seen those in my other videos. We're talking about what life looks like in retirement the longer you delay. We're talking about physical and mental health to enjoy your life in your prime years. And I get it. It's hard to retire. Momentum is a hard thing to break. And to top it off, you're at the top of your game. It's tough to let that go. But as soon as you start pushing your retirement back, you start to say, I'll retire at 62. Then 62 becomes 63. Then 63 becomes when Medicare kicks in at 65. Then it's I'll wait till I can get my full Social Security benefit at 67. It's a lot easier to continue to push off retirement. So I want to discuss a few factors that shift dramatically the longer you wait into retirement. The first is the most important, and it talks about your health and energy. You may have heard the go-go years in your 60s, the slow-go years in your 70s, and the no-go years in your 80s. When you turn 60, you're at the best you'll feel when retirement is a real possibility. So let's talk through this. Things you'll do in your 60s can often include walking European cobblestone streets with hilly towns like Edinburgh, Scotland, climbing castle steps or church towers like the Duomo in Florence, Italy, catching an early sunrise, or enjoying the late night scene in Barcelona. You're still in a place health-wise to bounce back from stress and small injuries. You have the energy to travel, hike, play with grandkids, or start a new hobby. You're still sharp enough mentally to take on new routines with confidence. For every year you delay, your retirement becomes more about recovery than reinvention. In your 70s, the slow-go years, you'll still want to travel or do the other things that you want to do, but all the things that I mentioned earlier tend not to be on that list. They are replaced with slower-paced sightseeing or hanging out at local cafes and museums. All of these great options, by the way, but one is not like the other. So if you had those things circled as things you would want to do in your retirement, but you continue to let retirement pass you by, you may be missing out on those experiences you thought you would get to enjoy. By the time you're 80, you want to just be hanging out at home. And even flying now feels like a bigger chore than it used to. And look, I have clients that are outside of these norms, but you probably see these trends with your own older family members. And another point is, you can still absolutely do these things when you're working. My wife and I travel extensively throughout the world, but it's not the same. It's hard to turn work off, especially if you're at a high work position where people rely on you. I talk to my clients about their vacations, and they've often found themselves taking 1 a.m. work calls from Hong Kong or midnight conference calls in France. I mean, the list goes on. Before we go into that next reason, if you're thinking about retiring early, I have a retirement readiness questionnaire where if you fill it out, I'll send back a personalized video on my thoughts, answering your most important questions, and helping you answer if you can also do it. Just click on that first link. So the second thing to consider on retiring early is a sneaky one, and it relates to the social and family timing. When you're in your early 60s, you're in a sweet spot socially. You've got the energy to expand your friend circle, connect both with retired and working peers, and stay active in community life. Plus, when it comes to family, timing tends to work out nicely with having more stamina for the grandkids while they're young. The other part about family dynamics is that when you're in your mid-60s, you might even be taking care of one of your parents. So now all that energy you thought you had that was going to go towards those fun vacations are scheduling doctor appointments and doing grocery store runs. And by the time you have that time back, you're at the end of your go-go years. The one thing I will say about retiring early with your finances is that you have to be intentional with what you spend your money on. And those habits start well before your 60s. You have to exercise that muscle before retirement. As an advisor, I don't tell my clients how to spend their money, but I will do an exercise that identifies what the most important things to them truly are. And then we focus on how to maximize those things in retirement. But look, I'm not going to just tell you that you need to retire early. I'm here to help. Here's how you can implement some steps in your own life. So here's step 1. Assess your readiness, which is around 12 to 24 months out, by running the numbers on your cash flow, expenses, and health insurance. But also ask yourself this question: how do I want to spend my time in retirement? Begin envisioning the activities and commitments that will give you purpose. Step 2 is to build your glide path, which is 6 to 12 months out, by considering a phased retirement if you're not ready to stop work completely. Options like part-time roles or consulting can ease the shift. Also, begin structuring your income plan, such as drawing from your 401k while possibly delaying Social Security. So step number 3 is launch with purpose, which is the first 6 to 12 months of your retirement. And you can do this by setting up daily routines, joining communities, and exploring new hobbies. Lock in your health coverage and create a structure that gives your days direction. Step 4 is establish your lifestyle, which is around 12 to 24 months in, by evaluating what's working and adjusting based on what brings you joy. Let go of what no longer serves you and double down on the relationships and routines that feel most meaningful. Step number 5 is to review and adjust quarterly by checking in on your finances, your health, and your overall happiness. Update your retirement plan annually, recognizing that this phase of life is not a one-time decision, but an evolving journey. Now you know why retiring after 62 and later can actually be a harder thing than retiring at 60. And more importantly, how to approach your transition the right way. But remember, 60 isn't some magical number. The best age to retire is the one that aligns with your goals, your health, and your lifestyle. And the only way to figure that out is to take a personalized look at your full retirement picture. So if you want to see what age might actually work best for you, click on that first link below to fill out my complimentary retirement questionnaire. After that, I'll send you a personal video breaking everything down. If you want to schedule a meeting directly in my calendar, click on that second link. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.